I felt really lucky. I mean, this is in addition to our work. And
Yeah.
Chris does like booking 500 events a year for Barton Creek and
The country club?
Yeah.
Yeah. I work with David Perkoff. Do you know David?
David who?
Perkoff.
Polkoff?
Perkoff.
Oh, musician.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
in Lounge Lizards or...
Yeah.
He was in, well, still is in
Uranium
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 Savages.
Savages,
Yeah.
yes.
But also has a little big band.
Yeah.
I've been working with David for 22 years.
22 years. They book about 400 events a year from...
In fact, when you answered the phone the other day,
Right.
I heard his name somehow.
Yes.
I was like, what?
Yes, answer is David Perkoff Music.
Yeah. I was like, who? That's what I thought I was calling.
But she books like all of George Strait's people while they're not on tour and keeps musicians working.
All right. Just give me the background on the earliest beginnings of this, which I presume goes back to West Texas.
Right.
Right. So how'd you get going down this road?
And I saw that the band called The Believers was being recorded, and I asked their manager if I could have a copy of their tape, and he sent it to me. And then the band dispersed for the summer, except for the lead singer, Granger Hunt. And he came over and wanted to hear the tape, so we played it, and then he said, well, can you work with me some of the recordings? So we started doing harmonies and stuff like that. And he said, well, we're getting ready to go into the studio in San Angelo. And so I went to see what was going on, and they just had the #1 hit, Last Kiss, with the Cavaliers, and Ron Newdog. The studio was just marvelous. They had like a basement underground echo chamber and top first-class machines that I couldn't come close to affording. So.
But you hadn't done any of this, right?
No.
In the past, you
No.
just went to the prom and you saw them doing it.
So I've been doing recording that way.
You would listen to them in the vehicle, didn't you?
Right. And I've done one on-location recording for my mother at the Minor Peak Girl Scout Ranch. They were going to do campfire songs. And I borrowed, I think it was like 400 feet of extension cord and ran a monaural recorder out and recorded their campfire songs. So
Monaural recorder, that would be as
Monaural.
opposed to stereo.
You got it. Yeah. So that was probably my first one. But then when I got into college, they needed somebody to be in charge of the recorders, and I did. Luckily they had Ampex equipment, and we carried them on location, and it was fun because my trumpet playing was not that great, and I'm sure it really helped me stay put by doing recordings. But we released albums and everything for Saul Ross. And
So you worked for the university?
yes, well, it was a work study. I graduated with a music degree.
I see.
Yeah, they waived all the vocal stuff. They heard me sing and said, no choir, no private voice. But, and she said, I've just come across this, and it's relevant to me because my boyfriend was in Vietnam, and he sent it to me. I never was able to play it. And when we finally transferred it, it turned out that he had not written to her for like 2 months. And on the tape he's saying, I'm really apologize because of things going on. And I said, I know you said you went out to the swimming pool with Bill. That's okay. I don't mind. I said, I really look forward to getting back and seeing you and everything. And she'd never heard this. Bill she kept going out with. And it turned out she got engaged. And this man that was in Vietnam came back, came to the door, and because she was engaged, her mother wouldn't let her know. So she never even knew that he had actually come, because she said, I would have left that guy in a heartbeat. And she said, to give me this, I found out that he passed away 6 months ago, and it gives me closure on the whole thing. And to be able to transfer that was really cool. But there's a lot of people...
So she could hear his voice
Yes.
from all that time ago?
From the 60s, yeah. I am sad to see so many of these units going into landfills.
Lots of people were born long after the reign of reel-to-reel tape decks.
Magnetic recording enabled so many things in our life.
Here's a man determined to make us all remember.
Jim Swift takes us back in time.
Tape recorders that come out in '46, that's the year I was born.
Now, Martin Theophilus is still alive, but the iconic reel-to-reel tape recorder is turning in its grave. One man's crusade to save a piece of our history.
The Blanton Museum of Art, the Bob Bullock Texas History Museum, and the LBJ Presidential Library. There are just 3 of a dozen or so museum attractions that bring visitors to Austin from all over the world. Well, now the wheels are turning to create another one, or more accurately, Jim Swift tells us that should be the reels are turning.
You might find it odd that a downstairs bedroom in Martin Theophilus' Bastrop County house is home to a handful of vintage reel-to-reel tape recorders. That, however, is just the beginning of odd in the Theophilus household. Take the stairs to the second floor, and you will find there virtually every square inch of space from floor to ceiling, packed with old reel-to-reels, 152 of them in all. Most of them still working.
So it can play both directions, and you can set the timer to reverse wherever you want it to. And it'll come up to that point. And
not only is Theophilus acquainted with the 1965 vintage Roberts 400X, he's also acquainted with the 95-year-old man who invented it.
The little dial that's up at the top is my patent.
That's because Theophilus actually traveled to Los Angeles to interview Robert G. Metzner.
we're losing people like that because it's just like a lot of these people started these companies right after World War II, and we're losing them like we were losing vets, really.
Theophilus has been a sound engineer all his life, but he didn't start collecting reel-to-reels until a gift from his wife of a 1902 Edison cylinder player made him realize that in the digital age, reel machines would also start to disappear.
Magnetic recording enabled video. It enabled so many things in our life as far as being able to hear good quality sounds. And I am sad to see so many of these units going into landfills.
Now, Theophilus doesn't run an audio transfer service, let's get that straight, though he can point you in the right direction. But, just for grins, I decided to dig in to an old box of family tapes. And what do you know? If I didn't come up with some old reel-to-reel tapes, and I had no idea what was on them.
Listen to Jimmy Carter.
I don't believe there's any other human being in this country.
The 1976 radio spot for the Carter presidential campaign is a historical nugget that points to the importance reel-to-reel players once had in our lives. And Theophilus is planning for a Texas media museum that would include that kind of testimony.
If Austin could put together a world-class museum that did something like that, it would be a destination.
In Bastrop County, Jim Swift, KXAN News.
Until the museum is actually created, you can only tour the Theophilus collection online, and we have the links for that and for following the progress of the museum plans on our website right now. Just click on the story in the Austin headlines section of KXAN.com.
We brought you the story of this Bastrop man with quite the unique collection under his roof. His home is full of vintage reel tape recorders that you see here. He has so many. Now the wheels are turning to create a museum here in Austin, and the collector Martin Theophilus, who you just saw there, is with us live this morning with an update on this new venture. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Erin.
So for those of us who missed the original story, how many reels do you have?
We're actually at 180 right now, and we've got some very unique things. We've got some of the first Ampex recorders that came out in the late 40s, and we've got some other unique items that really turned it into a museum. It was just a fun collection at first, and then when we got some historical things, we thought this is going to be really significant. And so that's evolved, and then we started running out of room. I started wondering what my wife, Chris, was going to get to do with these things. So we looked around. We looked at the Grammy Museum. We looked at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We went to the EMP Museum in Seattle, and nobody was celebrating the technology. They were musician focused, which was fine. But we thought, you know, there's also engineers like your folks that get up early in the morning to get you on the air and control everything. And so we decided we would found our own museum, and we founded it in 2012. Went through the IRS 501c3 process for a year and a half, and I just read in Time magazine that they are changing that to a 3-page online several-week approval.
Okay.
It's like, okay, thank you, IRS.
Yeah.
But we got it approved, and as we got into it, we realized that what we would like to do in Austin is we'd like to have a museum that not only celebrates the recording technology, but looks at all the impact that had on different aspects like music. I mean, in Austin, of all things, broadcasting, science. A lot of the tape recorders were built for like NASA and for telemetry and for law enforcement and hospitals to track things. So we started talking to folks. We got the Christine Albert, who's the head now of the NARIS Foundation, the Grammy Association, has been very supportive of us, the Audio Engineering Society. We've met with the Bullitt Museum about space and where they're going with their music collection, and they're looking at 2016. But we really think that Austin really needs a world-class museum that celebrates not only technology, but the music. I mean, we got the iconic people here like Willie Nelson. Willie has a museum. It's in a general store in Nashville. And it's basically memorabilia coming from different places. Stevie Ray Vaughan has a collection that's probably available. Les Paul's son, Rusty Paul, has offered us the Octopus. It was this huge 8-track recorder, one of the first multi-tracks ever used. So we're excited. I mean, we've got an Indiegogo project going. We did a survey online. A lot of people said no, it ought to be not in a big museum. It ought to be in its own iconic setting where it can take in all the different aspects in that. But I don't know. We really need folks to step forward, and I think that's the big thing with as much as Austin's growing. I think if we could help get some people come forward for the arts community and to talk about, and even if the museum turns out to be a music museum, which would be for Austin, and we could become a small part of it, that's fine.
Yeah.
We just think it needs to happen.
Okay, and you mentioned the survey. Can people still participate in the survey?
They can survey. They can get it on our line, MOMSR.org.
Okay.
And they'll also get a banner that comes across the front, say support or help us start this museum, and it's to help the Indiegogo project. And it's kind of minor. It's help. We're out of space, to be honest, and so we're looking for space. We're looking for design. The University of Texas Architecture Department has offered to help us do the interior design.
That's great.
So, I mean, it's just,
great.
we can't believe we're taken aback about the support.
Yeah, and I'm sure as word spreads, more people hopefully will come forward and want to play a role in it. Martin, thank you so much for being here. It's good to circle back around and see where you're at with this project.
Yeah.
If you missed that link, we're going to put it on our website a little bit later this morning along with this interview at KXAN.com.